What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Hey, welcome back to Happy Friday. It is indeed Friday, F1 Fridays, man. We have Ruben. I mean, the, the Ruben Barrichello's top 10 moments of brilliance. Obviously, I know him as a Ferrari driver. Very underrated driver. I think he has 10 plus wins, 68 podiums, stuff like that. Very good race, very good F1 racer. I think he's still racing as well. So shout out to him, man. Hey, he loves to race. He loves to drive. Can't blame him. Ew. But anyway, first thing first, actually, guys, hope you are doing well. Amazing. Stupendous on this lovely Friday, man. Been a busy day, long day, but good to be back with you guys. And let's go and take out his top 10 moments of brilliance, man, in his F1 career. If you guys are new to the channel, we are like 10 subs away from like 5K. Pretty cool. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do subscribe, like the video, and always, man, enjoy it. And without further ado, let's just guess we start. I guess we just started up. Let's get it.
He really is on fire today, isn't he, Rubens Barrichello? And a brilliant drive by Rubens Barrichello.
Rubens Barrichello is one of the most popular drivers ever to race in Formula One.
Gallo.
Never afraid to show his emotions, he drove with his heart on his sleeve. And
also, is Rubens one of the best F1 teammates? Now listen, I could be wrong. Yeah, it could be wrong. There have been some great teammates. Honestly, I'd probably say the best teammate right now. Ooh. You guys let me know who is the best. Actually, I can't even say. I think that's a pretty broad question to ask. Who's the best F1 teammate? You know what I mean? It's like I can't really say that, but I think
had a passion
Ruben
for the sport that
being Michael's teammate.
Every time he stood on the
I think
podium.
Ruben did a great job. It's like
A
how Perez
protege
did
of
to
the great
Verstappen.
Ayrton Senna, he scored 68 podiums, 14 pole positions, and 11 wins in a career that spanned more than 300 races and almost 2 decades, earning him millions of fans all over the world.
Everybody loves Rubens. Number 10.
The 1993 European Grand Prix is best remembered for Ayrton Senna's brilliant lap of the gods, when he overtook 4 cars on the opening lap.
And Senna goes through into the lead.
But there was another Brazilian on the grid that day who also made a lightning start and very nearly pulled off one of the most stunning podium finishes of the season.
In
93.
an astounding 4th position is Rubens Barrichello.
Jordan's Rubens Barrichello, then just 20 years.
Is it Kello or Cello? Because she's saying Kello and bro just said Cello. I'm just gonna call him Rubens. I'm just gonna call him Rubens.
Old, was in his
Big
first
Rube.
season of Formula One
Big Rube.
and lined up 12th on the grid at Donington Park for what was just his 3rd Grand Prix. But despite his limited experience, he shot up the order on the opening lap, having passed a host of drivers, including Michael Schumacher and Jean Alesi.
But that's the man, Rubens Barrichello, who is the man of the race so far, in my opinion.
He's
Barrichello
eating
then
now.
sailed through the pit stop windows and moved up to 3rd when Alain Prost stalled his engine and lost a full lap. The
Wow.
rookie looked set to take his and Jordan's first top 3 finish, but fate had other ideas.
Oh
With
no.
just 6 laps to go, his car developed a fuel pressure problem and was out of the race. He may not have scored his maiden podium on that damp day at Donington, but his stunning wet weather drive left no one in any doubt that the Brazilian rookie
He's here.
was ready to make waves
He's here.
in Formula One.
I've always put that's just the worst way to go out in any F1 race. You know, you're driving good, performing well. Next thing you know, your car starts effing up. That's just the worst. You know what I mean? And you can't really do anything about that because it's the car. It's the car itself. It just sucks, man. Just sucks. Just the worst feeling. Number 9.
After 7 seasons racing in F1,
Oh, yeah.
Barrichello finally got his big chance
Get some
with a
steps
move
in.
to Ferrari in 2000. He was partnered with Michael Schumacher, who was just about to embark on one of the most dominant runs in Formula One history. But Schumacher didn't have it all his own way. At the 2000 Spanish Grand Prix, it was the Brazilian who came out on top in the teammate battle. With 15 laps to go, Barrichello was running in 5th, but unable to find a way past Michael's brother, Ralf Schumacher, driving a Williams. But then the two of them caught up to Michael in 3rd place, with Ralf harrying his older brother around the Barcelona track as Barrichello watched and waited for his chance. At turn 10, Ralf dived down the inside of Michael, and Barrichello closed right up to them before the gap closed. But then, at the next corner, Michael pushed Ralf wide to try to defend his position. Barrichello saw his chance and slipped through on the inside to take both of them. He'd taken 2 Schumachers in one brilliant move.
That's
his reward was 3rd position, which he would keep all the way to the flag to seal his 2nd podium of the year in terrific style.
That's smooth. Hey, that's smooth. What you gotta do?
Barrichello
Take out 2 for
14
1.
pole positions in his Formula One career, most of them at the wheel of a Ferrari. But perhaps the sweetest was his very first, which he took in just his 2nd season and at one of the toughest circuits on the calendar, Spa-Francorchamps.
Spa.
At the time, qualifying was split into 2 hour-long sessions, one on Friday and another on Saturday. The Friday session was held in typical Spa conditions, with rain falling for most of the hour until it stopped late on. Several drivers bolted on slick tyres to try their luck on the drying track. Jean Alesi was hindered by a slower car in front of him, and Michael Schumacher spun. Barrichello again showed his wet weather prowess and stayed on track to record the quickest time in his Jordan, 3/10 ahead of Schumacher's Benetton.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
On Saturday, the rain fell even harder, and despite a host of top drivers going out to try to best Barrichello, none of them could get within 4 seconds of his time, and the Brazilian, who opted not to run at all, watched on in the Jordan garage as one by one they came up short. He and the Jordan team had their first pole position, which at the time made him the youngest driver ever to do so.
La Formula 1 era un momento più glorioso che potevo arrivare. Una pole position qua è veramente un momento molto speciale.
Rubens Barrichello didn't manage to stand on the F1 podium in his debut season. But the following year, he only had to wait until the 2nd race to secure his first top 3 finish.
That's what's up.
The Brazilian out-qualified his teammate Aguri Suzuki by a whopping 1.5 seconds to put his Jordan 8th on the grid for the 1994 Pacific Grand Prix at Aida in Japan.
Pacific Grand Prix.
When the lights went out, he kept out of trouble as Mika Hakkinen tipped pole sitter Ayrton Senna into a spin and out of the race. With Senna's Williams then hit by the Ferrari of Nicola Larini, Barrichello took advantage of the melee to squeeze past Martin Brundle for 5th. The Brazilian brilliantly fending off numerous attacks from the Englishman as the race progressed.
Martin Brundle challenging for 3rd. And Barrichello is keeping ahead of the enormously experienced Brundle.
Retirements for Hakkinen and Damon Hill promoted him to 3rd, a position he would not relinquish. And unlike his heartbreak at Donington, he held his nerve to finally clinch that all-important first podium.
He's solid.
Also, the first ever top 3 finish for the Jordan team.
Solid driver. Solid driver. Obviously, it seemed like he came in with 93. I think his first podium to 94. Pretty good pole getter. He just seemed solid. He just came in. He knew what to expect. He's going to race hard, do what he needs to do, and let the results show. So far, so good, man. I actually like Rubens.
Proud Brazilian, Barrichello wanted nothing more than a victory in his home Grand Prix.
You gotta win at home.
Especially since his passion for motor racing had first been ignited by hearing the roar of Formula One cars thunder around the Interlagos circuit, which was just a stone's throw from his grandmother's house in Sao Paulo. At the 1999 race, Barrichello was at the wheel of a Stewart Ford and qualified a superb 3rd, behind the dominant McLaren duo of Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard.
Do what
He
you
sprinted into
need to
second
do,
when
Rubens.
Coulthard stalled on the grid.
That's
But
not
then
good.
things got even better just 4 laps later, when Barrichello sent the huge partisan crowd into dreamland as he took the lead of the race, with pole sitter Hockenheim hampered by a gearbox problem. The fans roared as they watched their hero swoop past the McLaren into P1, a position he would keep for some 23 laps as he drove out of his skin to make his dream a
Got
reality.
to.
Sadly, it ended in heartbreak
dying.
when his engine died on lap 42, putting him out of the race. It was a bitter pill to swallow for Rubinho, as he was known to his home fans, but they would never forget the day when he wrung every ounce of pace out of his Stewart to so nearly win his home Grand Prix.
Dang, man. I
Michael
actually thought he did
Schumacher,
it.
Juan Pablo Montoya and Ralf Schumacher were all uncompromising competitors who fought for every inch of track when they were racing in Formula One. None were a pushover when it came to wheel-to-wheel action, but at the 2002 European Grand Prix, Barrichello passed them all, and amazingly did so in a single lap. From P4 on the grid at the Nurburgring, the Brazilian got ahead of Ferrari teammate Schumacher off the line when the lights went out.
Rubens Barrichello.
That's twice
fourth
he's
on the
had
grid, has
engine
leapt up to
failure,
the front.
which
But
could have
Schumacher
caused them like
surrendered at turn
a
3,
win or
and
like
then Montoya was left behind
a good
with a hairpin
finish.
as Barrichello grabbed the lead in stunning swashbuckling fashion.
Look at this, he's going down the
Swashbuckling.
inside of Ralph into the Castrol hairpin.
Michael Schumacher soon passed the Williams pair as well to leave the Ferraris running a comfortable 1-2 after their pit stops. But unlike at the controversial Austrian Grand Prix just 3 races earlier, this time Ferrari did not intervene and order Barrichello to let his teammate through, and the Brazilian cruised home to take his first win of the year.
Oh!
A victory that was built on his
Oh.
brilliantly aggressive.
For some reason, I actually thought she said that Ruben had to let Michael pass him. I was going to say, man, let my boy get a dub, man. Let my
What a
boy get a
fantastic
dub.
race. I mean, in terms of pushing and performance, and I want to thank everyone at Ferrari because the car was really good.
I wasn't expecting that. I thought he was gonna speak Portuguese. That English is smooth. At first, I was thinking I was like Michael or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's Ruben, my boy, Big Rube. Man, shout to my guy,
After
Big Rube,
racing for
man.
Ferrari for 6 years, Barrichello had a relationship with the Tifosi that was almost as strong as the connection he shared with his devoted Brazilian fans.
The who?
It was entirely fitting then that
Oh,
he
really?
took his 11th and final Grand Prix victory at Monza, with the crowd cheering him on passionately, despite the fact he was no longer driving one of their beloved Ferraris. Barrichello had left Maranello at the end of 2005 and endured 3 dispiriting seasons racing uncompetitive Honda cars before the Japanese manufacturer pulled out of Formula One in a shock and sudden decision in 2008. But the Brawn GP team rose
Oh,
from the
yeah.
ashes, giving Barrichello an unlikely chance to add to his victory tally. in
Shout
F1.
out to Brawn GP as
He
always.
took his first win of 2009 at the European Grand Prix and followed that up with an emotional victory in Italy. After qualifying 5th, 1 place ahead of his Brawn teammate Jenson Button, Barrichello jumped ahead of Heikki Kovalainen's McLaren off the start line, and eventually took the lead when he committed to a 1-stop strategy, while his main rivals went for a 2-stopper. Once out in front, he managed the race perfectly, leading home Button for a Brawn 1-2, as the Tifosi cheered him on as one of their own.
Brilliant drive, Rubens. Brilliant drive.
Fantastic job, Rubens. Really, really super.
It was Barrichello and Brawn's final Grand Prix victory.
Dang, that sucks.
During his 6 seasons with Ferrari, Rubens Barrichello was often forced to play second fiddle to the great Michael Schumacher.
And that's what, like, I think that's one of the hardest things for an F1 driver to have to do, is to, like, it's like, It's like Valtteri to Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez or Alex Albon or Pierre Gasly to Verstappen, Rubens to Michael Schumacher. Like, it sucks, having to play second fiddle to a degree. Some guys, are okay with it, I guess, and some guys don't. But I think at the end of the day, if you're, still winning races, still winning the Constructors Championship because, your teammate's so dominant, I guess it can be good, but at the same time, you're not getting a win. Like, you have to give up, you have to give up your spot at the last lap to your teammate. Like, that sucks. Like, that's the worst. That's the absolute worst. Like, having to do that. You know what I mean? Like it's far as sport, I guess. Man.
But there were some weekends when the Brazilian was unquestionably on top, such as the 2003 British Grand Prix.
Oh, my bad.
Quick from the get-go, Barrichello took a commanding pole position, with a lap time more than 6/10 faster than Schumacher, who was down in P5. But when the lights went out, Barrichello lost places to Jarno Trulli in the Renault and McLaren's Kimi Räikkönen. He clawed back second place with a superb move 10 laps later. But then the Grand Prix was interrupted by a track invader, which triggered a safety car. Once racing resumed, Barrichello went on a charge, pulling off brave and committed moves from Ralf Schumacher and Juan Pablo Montoya.
Wow, what a move by Rubens Barrichello!
Before setting about chasing down race leader Räikkönen. The two then engaged in a thrilling wheel-to-wheel battle before Barrichello eventually made his move.
And the crowd at Silverstone is going bananas!
He raced on to take one of the finest victories of his career, and one that epitomised his bravery, talent, and overwhelming will to win.
For me, it's a fantastic feeling. The last 2 weeks, people have been saying so many things about first lap crashing, Rubens this and that, so I hope they shut up now. I overtook a lot of people.
Talk to him, Rubes.
In 1997, Barrichello left Jordan after 4 years and joined Jackie Stewart's brand new outfit with high hopes for the season ahead.
Jackie Stewart,
unfortunately,
the
the Stewart
driver,
Ford
great
team
driver.
suffered from dreadful reliability in their first year in the sport, with Barrichello forced to retire from all but 3 races. But there was one particular bright spot in an otherwise frustrating year, when the stars aligned at the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Brazilian put together a race weekend that delivered the most unexpected of results. He qualified 10th, a full 1.2 seconds faster than teammate Jan Magnussen. But it was race day when it all came together for Barrichello.
Yeah, Magnussen.
Rain fell before the start of the race, giving the track the wet conditions in which he often excelled.
Ruben Barrichello in the Stewart Ford is up into 6th position.
And so it would prove, as a host of drivers ahead of him slid out on the slippery surface. He also managed to overtake Ralf Schumacher on track, getting past the Jordan driver at the notoriously difficult hairpin.
And he goes through as Ralf Schumacher half spins.
Reliability had been the Achilles heel of the Stewart team, but for once it held together and Barrichello crossed the line in 2nd place to earn the first podium finish for the brand new team in their
that's so many races having to get called out.
The most prestigious Grand Prix on the calendar, where team principal Sir Jackie had taken 3 victories himself as a driver. An emotional moment for all involved.
I can't tell you how happy I am. I've never been second in Monaco.
Number 1.
Despite his proven potential, Barrichello was in his 8th season of Formula One and still without a victory to his name after more than 120 races when the F1 paddock set up camp at the Hockenheim ring for the German Grand Prix.
It'd be like that.
And if this was the race that Barrichello was going to break his wins duck, it certainly didn't appear that way on Saturday when his Ferrari developed an oil leak. He had to use teammate Michael Schumacher's car and setup for qualifying, and could only manage a lowly P18 on the grid. A huge crowd of more than 100,000 spectators turned up
What
on
did
race
Michael
day,
get?
expecting to cheer Schumacher on to victory. But the home hero was out of the race at the very first corner.
And straight into the barrier. It's Schumacher. Incredible. Michael Schumacher is out of the race before it's hardly begun.
It looked like being a disappointing day for Ferrari, but Barrichello had other ideas.
That's
He
right.
vaulted up an astonishing 8 positions on the first lap alone, and by lap 6, he was running 6th, before passing Johnny Herbert for 5th, Pedro de la Rosa for 4th, and Jarno Trulli for 3rd.
He
A
eating.
miracle was on the cards.
We eating. Come on,
After the
Rubes.
pit stops and 2 safety car periods, Mika Hakkinen was leading for McLaren when rain began to fall.
Uh-oh.
Most of the field dived into the pits for wets, but Barrichello gambled,
Rubens Barrichello carries on and takes the lead in the German Grand Prix.
staying out on dry tyres and backing himself to cope with the tricky conditions. It proved to be a masterstroke, and the popular Brazilian, who had waited so long and worked so hard, finally crossed the line in P1, 7 seconds ahead of Hakkinen, to take his first ever Formula One victory.
Rubens
Hey.
Barrichello winning for
Let's
Ferrari,
go.
and he's done it.
My boy. My boy,
With
Rubes.
celebrations that will never be forgotten. Rubens Barrichello gave everything to Formula One,
Look at them tears, man. Let's keep
which is
going.
why he remains such a popular figure in the paddock.
Look at them tears. Look at that tears of passion, of joy, of finally getting it done. 8 years. Jesus. That's, oh my God, man. It's so long to get your first win. And we saw what George Russell did when he got his first win in Brazil this past year. You can just see just because it's hard. It's hard, man. It's hard. And I've noticed, I've studied it, watched it, learned from it. It's hard to win F1, man. And to get it done, all you've been through, man, all the trials and tribulations that you've gone through, you finally get to win. Shout out to Rubes, man. Shout out to our boy Big Rubens. Rubens Barrichello, top 10 most of brilliance. What was your guys' favorite one? Don't forget to like the video and sub as well. Stay safe, stay amazing. Talk to you guys later, man. Peace.